morning and welcome back to NADA Live. I'm Jonathan Colleggio. I'm joined this morning with Annette Sikora, who is the chair of the NADA Foundation, and Bill Walters, who is president of the Texas Automobile Dealers Association.
Morning.
Today we're going to talk about the NADA Foundation and specifically the Emergency Relief Fund, which was very active this year in Texas. The Emergency Relief Fund supported dealership personnel affected by 4 different kind of natural disasters this year, including 3 hurricanes and the wildfires in California. Can you talk about that, Annette?
You know, there were too many natural disasters, but when those happen, there are dealership employees that are affected. They have catastrophic losses, and yet they have such a desire to get back into work and to serve their fellow citizens that have these. And our Emergency Relief Fund gives us the ability to get money to them quickly so they can go on with their lives and get back to helping the citizens of their community that they do so much.
Yeah, that's amazing. So one of the things about if someone's affected by a hurricane, they may have an insurance policy, but sometimes the insurance policy may not kick in for a while. So
right, it takes a while to file claims. Well, even to be able to know what their damage is. But we get this money to them so quickly, and we do this because our members and our associations are so generous.
Indeed. Once a 700-year flood this year, Bill, in Houston. I mean, you saw it. You were there. Tell us about what it was like on the ground during Hurricane Harvey.
Well, it was a 150-mile radius of Houston. It wasn't just Houston, Texas. It was all down the Gulf Coast and the Golden Triangle and actually all the way up to Austin. And I have never experienced anything like that. I'm a native Texan. 54 inches of rain in 4 days is just unprecedented. And so it was remarkable, Jonathan. You called me the day after landfall. You called me on August the 27th. And in a few days, you had a video team on the ground to tell the story and raise money. So Eric Hunsaker and Jeff Baker came down. They braved the storm. They went into the teeth of the hurricane and the flood and told the story of what exactly was going on. And then you and Peter Welch and Annette and Mark Scarpelli all came down to Houston, ankle deep water, and delivering checks to these employees. And some of those employees, they had just gotten back to the dealership. I mean, we had one couple, and I'll never forget her name was Jennifer Lopez.
That's right.
She was the receptionist at Stephen Wolf's dealership. And she had just gotten back to the dealership after a week of surviving in a church, along with some other people living on a cot. And all they got out of their apartment was their 5-year-old child.
Yeah.
They got no possessions.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you handed her a check as soon as she got back to the dealership, and you did that all up and down I-45. And so one of the things that this demonstrated to me was the leadership of NADA, because only you could have brought together my counterparts, the ATAEs, and dealers from coast to coast to raise $2.9 million to go to these employees. Because our dealers are insured, our dealers are tough, and they've overcome so many things. One more hurricane and one more flood, they pull together and get it done. But those employees don't have that support system. A lot of them didn't have insurance. A lot of them lost everything that they had. And so NADA was there immediately to put money in their hands, no questions asked, wish them well. And of course, our dealers supplemented that. Our dealers did so much for those employees. But Wyatt Wainwright and his group in Houston were extraordinary. I've never seen anything like the disaster, and I've never experienced anything like the NADA Emergency Relief Fund's quick action to get money in people's hands to help them get their lives back together.
The damage was extraordinary. I mean, we went and toured McRae Ford down in Dickinson, Texas, and they lost 1,200 cars.
Every car.
Every vehicle on their lots. But one of the things I think that people may not understand is that we're not going out and helping the dealership. We're helping the people, right? So I know that obviously the Texas Dealers Association and the Houston Dealers Association stepped up. ATAEs and the dealer associations all across the country raised over $1 million for this fund. Can you talk about how your colleagues within the state associations kicked in?
Well, that's something that a lot of people don't really understand, but there are 110 state, and metropolitan associations in the country. And we have our own organization. We met for 2 days before the NADA convention. We've been out here a while. And our dedication, our mission is 100% to help franchise dealers do the great things that they do for America every day. But we have a very close fraternity and sorority. And when we put the call out, I know when Katrina happened, we all gave money for Louisiana. When the Oklahoma City tornadoes, we all pulled together for that. So I was getting calls from Oklahoma City, from Greater Los Angeles, from New York, Arizona, Georgia. I mean, all the ATAEs across the country that work for the dealers and represent their interest, they work with their board of directors to get immediate funds. And you're right, it was $1 million.
Annette, you've talked about how in situations like that, it's almost critical to think of the larger dealer body as a family, and that the family just kind of came together and helped out. But one of the things that families do is they don't, a family wouldn't charge you for your expenses, right? I mean, and that's one of the benefits of the Emergency Relief Fund, is that all of the money that's donated into the Emergency Relief Fund goes to the recipients.
That's the beauty of our NADA Foundation and our NADA Association, is that money that we raise for these employees, to go to these employees 100%, because the expenses are borne by the association.
That's right. That's really amazing. I know that that's not the only thing that the NADA Foundation does. Talk to me about some of the other programs that the foundation is working on.
The foundation has a history of some donor-advised funds, and we call those ambassadorships. And so I'm an ambassador, my husband's an ambassador. We've honored our fathers as ambassadors. We did that because we appreciated them getting us in the business. And the way you become an ambassador, you contribute $10,000 to the foundation. Mm-hmm. Once you've done that, then you're able to give a grant every 3 years to a 501c3 of your choice, mm-hmm. locally. So it becomes a local foundation. So we know dealers across the country are philanthropic in their communities, and they support a lot of charitable organizations. The foundation gives them the ability to kind of institutionalize that through an ambassadorship. And so we have almost 800 ambassadors. We expect to really add to that program going forward, because we know that dealers will realize that we do all the administration.
That's right.
For them, and then they get to give that grant, and that goes on forever.
It's almost kind of like having the NADA Foundation run your own private foundation for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Bill, I know that a lot of the state associations will actually buy multiples of these. I know that Texas, obviously, Carol Smith has many of them. Talk about the how local and state dealer associations approach these ambassadorships.
Well, we have such a close alliance with NADA, and many of us have served on the foundation board. We all know and respect Annette Segura, and the things that we do in conjunction with NADA, we know are specifically going to our members. When you give to any other foundation or any other charity, there's probably a 30 or 40% expense cut on the money that you give. But NADA has created an emergency relief fund and a foundation that is exclusive for our members. Sure. And so when we have a need that the ambassadorship fills, it helps schools, it helps private institutions, it helps the things that are the bedrock of the communities all across the country. We have 18,000 franchise dealers in America. I have over 1,330. So it doesn't just go
1,330 in Texas alone.
Yeah. So it doesn't just go to one entity. It helps across the board, because no one has the presence in our country that franchise dealers have. There's no other community-based, family-owned enterprise that contributes more and has a greater presence in our state. In Texas, we have 163 towns of less than 15,000 population. They have franchise dealerships. They're the biggest employers, they're the biggest contributors, they're the biggest community volunteers. And I have dealers in 4 towns of less than 1,000 population. So the NADA reach is extraordinary. So when you are an ambassador, you in aggregate with those ambassadors all across the country lift up America. No one else does that.
You know, one thing that comes to mind is one of our ambassadors in Vermont, and that's Wade Walker. And he had such a passion for his crippled children's charitable organization that he bought 3 ambassadorships because he wanted to make sure that every single year that there was a grant given to that crippled children's camp. And that's what he does locally. And so he's able to leverage the resources of the foundation, but bring it right down to his local charity.
Indeed. Not only does the NADA Foundation focus on the Emergency Relief Fund and the Ambassadors Fund, but there was a huge announcement in automotive news a couple of weeks ago. Can you talk about the new initiative that the foundation is working on?
You know, we have an arm of the foundation that's the general fund, and most all of our members contribute to this general fund when they pay their dues, and they contribute. And so we have an opportunity to really do some great things for our industry. And one of the things we have now is a shortage of technicians. We have a shortage of qualified skilled workers. And through our new initiative, the Workforce Initiative, we are going to be able to spread the word across the country about the challenging, rewarding careers at auto dealerships and provide the resources that allow veterans or students to know how to join the automotive industry and to be part of this vibrant industry.
At the ATA meeting a couple of days ago, Bill, we talked about the Workforce Initiative. A lot of interest among the state and local associations about that. I mean, are you seeing the technician shortage as acutely in Texas as many people are seeing across the country?
When you're an oil state, it's kind of a blessing and a curse because we have a successful economy, but we have incredible competition for technicians. We have airlines that office in Texas, multiple oil, natural gas companies, wind farms, and so dealers are going up against that competition. And what we need to do is have our secondary schools and our college curriculums get students prepared for a career in a dealership, and we all have different approaches to that. Every state is doing something. In the state of Texas, we're working with the Texas Education Agency and the Workforce Commission and the Governor's Office to provide qualified training in our secondary schools in Texas. We're working with AES and NATEF in Leesburg, Virginia, and they're coming down in July for a national meeting of 500 instructors from across the country for high school students, and I'm in hopes Annette can be there. I'm on the program. I have a dealer named Mike Zorn who started in the service department. He's now a successful car dealer in Cleburne, Texas. We want to demonstrate there's a career path, and so in our dealerships in 284 Texas cities and towns, those young people don't have to leave town to have a career. They can stay there and work for a franchise dealer and have a family-based career right in their hometown, but they need the education and they need to be prepared, and that's part of our responsibility, and that's what Annette and the foundation are doing.
You know what Bill said, there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of activity across the country, whether it's the community college trying to attract the students, the high schools, the associations, but there's not a good collaborative, comprehensive way of telling everyone the kind of jobs we have in dealerships. And that's where the foundation is going to come in with the new initiative. And I'm really thrilled that we're taking this direction.
That's great. Annette, aside from chairing the NADA Foundation, you are a former NADA chair.
Yes.
You're also a Ford dealer. Your husband
yes.
are both here from from Texas. How was the Ford meeting? Tell us about what's going on with Ford and with the Make meeting.
Ford has some really exciting products. They've shortened that cycle. Our showroom is going to look really exciting in the next year, 2 years. So a lot of fun product coming out. They gave us a glimpse of that. And course, they wouldn't let us take any pictures, but I tell you what, if I could have, everybody would have been dying to see those pictures. It's a lot of fun, exciting product, so it's going to be great to be a Ford dealer. It is great to be a Ford dealer. It is great to be a Ford dealer.
And Bill, you guys had your big gala last night. How many NADA shows have you come to?
25.
25.
Yeah, and the thing about the NADA convention, Texas dealers that don't come to my meetings, they come to NADA.
Yeah.
Because you have make meetings, and you have workshops, you have the incredible trade show, you have all the things that dealers need. And so we trap Texas dealers at the Texas party one night every year at the NADA convention. So we had our 2-hour party last night. It was a packed house. My chairman is Tom Durant, the Classic Group in Texas, who's one of the most extraordinary dealers in the country. And he hosted hundreds of dealers and their families last night, because we have about 300 Texas dealers and managers that come here. And then when you add in the families, and there's 3 generations of a lot of families, I had Elaine Helfman there last night, who's 88 years old, who's the matriarch of a great dealer family in Houston, Texas, and her son-in-law was the chairman. Stephen Wolf was the chairman of HADA last year, who you got to know when you came down for the Harvey relief activity, and her granddaughter worked for us for the last 2 years as an intern at the University of Texas, Samantha, and so there's 3 generations of the dealer's family, and that's what's the great thing about NADA. We work for families. We work for real people. And for the ATAE group, it's the same way. We get to know each other's kiddos. We have some that come into the office following their parent, like Wyatt Wainwright followed Walter Wainwright. Zach Doran followed Tim Doran. Pete Sander followed his dad. And so it's a family of culture and relationship, just like it is among the dealer body. I am hoarse today because I talk more in the 2 hours of the Texas party every year than any other time, and it's just exciting and wonderful. I got to see Annette and Pat's 2 sons, both in the dealership. I've watched them grow up through the years. I went to one's high school baseball game. We talked about the state championship.
He did. He came to the baseball championship to watch our son.
How many NADA shows have you come to, Annette?
I've probably been to as many as Bill has.
Well, what a great segment. Thank you so much for joining. Bill Walters, Annette Sikora, thank you for joining the NADA live stage. Please join us for live streaming at nada.org/live or on our Facebook page, where we're live streaming all of this content, as well as the NADA convention content down the aisle. And keep on joining us back for continuing program. Thank you very much.